Hey, it's Jonathan Otto, and welcome to bonus episode 12 of ReGenesis, your body's own medicine, exploring the healing power of urine therapy. Urine therapy is one of the world's oldest healing practices, mentioned in ancient Ayurvedic texts and still used today by thousands of people to address everything from skin conditions to serious illnesses, even cancer. Yet Big Pharma has conditioned us to see urine as nothing more than waste, while scientific research tells a very different story. Human urine contains more than 5,600 bioactive compounds, hormones, enzymes, antibodies, vitamins, minerals, and regenerative stem cells, stimulating factors, all produced by your own body and perfectly matched to your own unique biology. So why is something so potentially powerful dismissed or ridiculed? Perhaps because it can't be patented or sold, making it a threat to the profit-driven model of modern medicine. What's clear is this: your body already produces a potent, complex medicine made just for you. To start our episode, we have McDonald, a researcher, teacher, and facilitator who's been practicing urine therapy since 2013. Her journey began with a simple personal experiment to address chronic dry skin, one that delivered visible results within just a few days. That experience sparked a deeper exploration into the practice, ultimately leading to lasting improvements in her health and a passion for researching and teaching it to others. Drawing on her background in performance, anthropology, and the study of belief systems, Megan examines how cultural conditioning has led us to view urine as waste despite its essential role in field development and its rich composition of bioactive compounds. She also explains the science of kidney function, showing why urine is far from toxic and how it may be one of the body's most underappreciated resources for healing. Let's hear from her as she shares the story, science, and surprising potential of this ancient practice.
I'm McDonald. I am a researcher, a teacher, a facilitator. I work mostly with self-healing methods. And I've been doing urine therapy since 2013. My background started in theater, actually, and then event management. I did a PhD at the University of London on the performance of belief, looking at it from an anthropological and a theater point of view. And since then, I've trained in multiple different healing modalities that I was looking at for myself because of my own health issues, pain in my body, things that just didn't seem to heal. And in 2013, I went and did yoga teacher training. And while I was doing that, it turned out my yoga teacher had been doing urine therapy for 30 years. And she spoke about it with a lot of detail and a lot of passion, but she was also a walking advertisement for it. Her hair was beautiful, her skin was beautiful, her energy was very magnetic. And part of what she presented was, if you're curious, you can take a few drops and just put them somewhere every day. She suggested the back of the hand. So I tried that, and I had very dry skin. And after 3 days of doing that, every time I went to the bathroom, the back of my left hand was happy, supple, the color was good. It was a huge difference in just 3 days. And the back of my right hand was still dry and flaky and not hydrated or moisturized. And I'd been carrying moisturizer around in every bag that I had in my car, next to my bed. It was everywhere. For years, I needed moisturizer constantly, 12 months of the year. I'm also from Canada, so like in the winter, it's really cold, and they got to give some context. So when I found something that came out of my own body that was free, that my skin obviously liked, and that made an immediate difference in 3 days, I felt like I'd hit the jackpot. This was fantastic. So I started putting it on both hands every day. And then I don't even know if it was a week, but a few days later, I thought, well, my face is dry and I keep moisturizing my face, so why would I not put it on my face? So then I started rubbing it on my hands and rubbing it on my face. And the next thing you know, I'm using it as my full body moisturizer. And that started in February of 2013. And I've been applying it to my body every day since. It took me about 6 months to start drinking it. That was my big block. Some people find it easy to drink it, some people don't. And when I did start drinking it, then I continued that every day. So I didn't set out with an intention. I didn't realize that it would turn into something that I research, I talk about, I teach on, I facilitate. But this practice gave me things that I had been looking for years in other modalities. It was bringing about consistent, systemic, and permanent change in my body and in a way that I could sustain myself. So it's like when you realize that you need to stretch or you're not going to be flexible, and you have to continue to do that in your life, I realized that if I kept putting urine on my skin, I wouldn't need moisturizer. It was such a simple, easy thing to do. So that's where I started and how I came to it. And in terms of, like, when I look at my path through life, you start one place and you don't necessarily know where you're going. And I definitely, with theater, did not see myself ending up teaching about urine therapy. But if I look at the sense of how do we tell our stories? Where do our stories come from? What is society focused on? Urine is something that binds every single human because we all start in the womb swimming in our own urine. Every single baby does that. And so whether we are comfortable with it or not as adults, we all did that, and it unites every one of us. And this liquid is something that if we don't start peeing in the womb, we don't develop. The fetus will die. And so our urine is necessary to our development. It's not just a side note. It actually is needed for us to grow in the womb. And so that reframes the whole notion of urine and takes it from being a waste product and something that is toxic or dangerous into something that is necessary and life-giving and very clearly not problematic to human development or human growth, or it would not be in the womb. That would be a tragic mistake of biology to have urine be in the womb if it was dangerous. And so all of these things together bring me to then now a lot of what I work with is people's beliefs. And that's what I was writing about when I did my doctoral research, which was from a theater department. But looking at people's beliefs is actually very intrinsic. It's very important to working with urine because we are conditioned to believe that this is something dangerous. And when we can shift our beliefs and change our framework and our perspective, then we're open to trying something which as babies we had no issue with and in the womb helped us to grow. One of the questions that gets asked a lot is how do we explain how urine is made, how urine comes through the body? And so this is, on the one side, quite simple because it's mostly the kidneys produce the urine. They are responsible for that. But how that happens and why, you will see in every medical textbook that urine is a waste product and that the kidneys filter waste. And these two statements are repeated by medical professionals and the general public, but this is misleading because the kidneys are the most complex filtration system probably on the planet. We can't even make anything that's as complex and subtle as what they do. And the kidneys are not a primary waste pathway out of the body. So we think about it, our intestine is a waste pathway. That is what it's there for. It gets rid of what is no longer needed. The kidneys are not a primary waste pathway. They will get rid of waste if they need to, but that's not their main function. That's not what they think they're doing every day, so to speak. So the key aspect of the role of the kidney is part of shifting an understanding of urine from waste to a potent, complex biofluid. So the kidneys filter approximately 180 liters of blood every day, which means we end up with 1.5 to 2 liters of urine excreted per day. The goal of this action is not the removal of toxins in the general sense, but rather it's regulating plasma, osmolarity, pH, and homeostasis. So that might sound a little complicated, but it's basically various substances that fall into the category of toxin may be removed from the blood, as well as excesses of many substances, including water. The process involves these 3 primary mechanisms: filtration, reabsorption, and secretion. So that's what's happening in the kidney to create urine. So the filtration is blood plasma that passes through what are called the glomeruli, the capillary network of the glomerulus. I'm going to say this wrong, glomerulus. So one of the main things to understand about how the kidneys produce urine is they're filtering your blood. So the state of your blood is directly related to the state of your urine. If your blood is toxic, your urine is toxic. So assuming that your blood is not toxic, your urine will not be toxic. I don't see any way for the urine to become toxic if the blood is not, because everything that's in your blood is getting filtered to produce your urine. And we talk about our blood as being life-giving, wonderful, amazing. We have to guard it. We revere it, we donate it to give to other people. Blood is a huge and part of our being vibrant and healthy. But as soon as it goes through the kidneys and turns into urine, we call it waste. And so I do find that funny over time, that it's like, how can we make that jump? The state of your blood will determine the state of your urine. Now, your kidneys can have a problem. If your kidneys are diseased, if they're not filtering properly, if there's an issue, that can also create it can shift your urine, but that's a different discussion. We're talking about your general healthy person who is their blood is being filtered by their kidneys. So we start with filtration. They go through the blood goes through these little capillary networks, and large molecules like proteins and blood cells are retained, while water, electrolytes, and small solutes, so like almost like dust, so to speak. It's not dust, but a small solute is very small. They pass into what's called the nephron. So the nephron selectively, it takes what comes out of the capillary network, and it selectively reabsorbs water, glucose, electrolytes, and other nutrients back into the bloodstream. So part of what the kidneys are trying to do is maintain pH and maintain osmolarity. So that has to do with salt versus water. What is the mixture in your blood? And that's part of what's needed to maintain electrical activity in your body. So if you drink too much water, you end up with the dilution of salts, magnesium, potassium, sodium, as examples of salts in your body, is too low, and you're not going to feel good, because you need to have the right balance of water to salts, because salts help carry electricity and other things. So the blood goes through the kidneys. The kidneys filter things out, including a lot of water, and then it reabsorbs what it needs. And it reabsorbs what it needs to keep your blood in the best possible state to keep you healthy. So anything that's excess to that, excess water, excess potassium, magnesium, vitamin C, zinc, copper, name the hormones that you currently have in your body, antibodies for things that you're fighting, all of that will be let go if it's not needed at that time, because the kidneys are keeping the blood at the perfect ratio, the perfect homeostasis for you. So then anything that the kidneys decide it doesn't need, it's not going to reabsorb, then you have your tubular secretion. The renal tubule and the duct cells allow other materials to be removed from the blood to ultimately form the urine. So this includes the excess water, the excess ions, any drugs or other substances that might be in your body. So if you took Tylenol, or you took acetaminophen or paracetamol, depending on what country you're in, that would be something that could be found in trace amounts. So that is how a substance gets removed from the blood in this process through the kidney. So the main work of the kidney in this explanation is to maintain many properties and aspects of the blood by filtering, reabsorbing, and secreting. The regulation of the electrolyte balance, the pH, the homeostasis, and the fluid levels are the primary work of the kidneys. The kidneys are not privileging detoxification. This is further evidenced by the relatively small number of xenobiotics, or foreign chemicals, that get excreted in urine compared to what the liver is doing. The liver is much more an organ of detoxification than the kidneys are. If we compare them, if that's what we're looking at, like which one's doing more, the liver is doing more of that. So the kidneys, in this sense, that's all of what is happening to then get us to having urine. And the urine is 95% water. And that's water we don't need because the blood has enough water in it. So it's not bad water, it's just excess water. And then the other 5%, if you have 95% water, 5% is left over. 2.5 to 3% of that is urea and uric acid. And the other 2.5 to 3%, and I'm saying 2.5 to 3 because it can change in percentage all day long, depending on what you're drinking, whether you're exercising, you're sitting still, you're sleeping, you're eating, everything's going to shift. So that last 2.5 to 3% is everything else that your body is producing. So if you think you have 100 milliliters of water, or urine in this case, 100 milliliters of urine, 95 milliliters are water, 2.5 to 3 milliliters are urea and uric acid. I mean, when you do this by volume, it's a little different, but bear with me just for the sake of trying to visualize it in something you can measure. And the last 2.5 to 3 milliliters are potentially 1,000 metabolites in minute amounts. So it'd be very, very hard to be poisoned by anything that was coming out in your urine. So that your urine is made up and composed primarily of these things.
Aloha, my name is Brother Sage. I'm been a wellness practitioner for 46 years, and my journey started back in the day when I was overweight, unhealthy, and a little bit not sure about where I was going in life. And I ended up in a raw food community, and it got me into fasting and purification and detox and cleansing, and I've not looked back since. I mean, raw foods is anchored in me, and it was something that's always been a go-to, and I talk about it a lot. And back then, I realized after getting certain health challenges that anything was possible to overcome. I actually had a low-grade hepatitis. I went home with a juicer and closed my back and told my folks, the doctor said I was going to be in bed for 6 weeks to months. And I said to my parents, whatever happens, don't feed me. And so I basically fasted for 2 weeks. And at the end of that time, the doctor was in amazement. He says, how can you be healthy now? I said, doctor, I'm 23. I got a life. I'm out of here. And I learned that, anything was possible. My influence was a combination of 2 books. One is The Golden Fountain by Cohen van der Kroon. He's a well-known author out there in Netherlands, in Holland. And that book was technical, and the book showed me all the different protocols and what's the nutrients and what are people gaining from this and research. And it was my Bible, but it wasn't the thing that lit my light, didn't flip my switch. It was the book by my mentor, Leonard Orr, called The Secrets of Youthing. Well, he had healed everything with urine therapy, including senility and all kinds of problems with his health. So I had some at the time. It was just like, I got to know what this is. And so I jumped in on it. One thing that I noticed, and I still notice today, because I've been practicing this every day for 30-something years, and what I've noticed is a level of calmness and centeredness. I'm not triggered like I used to be about things people would say, and I would take it personal, or I felt it like it was a challenge or a confrontation. I'm able to stay more at peace than ever before. And what I would relate that to, or credit that with, is all the amazing nutrients that urine has in it. There was a study that came out of a university in Canada, that revealed that they identified 5,662 ingredients in human urine. And what I would like to remind people is the folks that go down to the health food store because they are overstressed, their nervous system is a wreck, their adrenal glands are almost shot, and they're having a hard time resting, sleeping, etc. There are ingredients in this water like magnesium, which we go and buy, right? And serotonin, and oxytocin, and DHEA, human growth hormone. All these things are serotonin. These are all in the water. So instead of having to go down and buy all the stuff from the health food store, if you will get in a regular practice of drinking this at least once a day, preferably sipping on it throughout the day, then you'll have those nutrients being delivered in your system in a time-release fashion, and you'll be amazed at how clear your mind is and how your energy is running. One thing for us guys over 50, we get these things in our bodies. It's called a capillary burst. All of a sudden, you get a discoloration. It turns a purple or maroon color, right? They call it a capillary burst. Every single time I get these things. Now, I'm skinny. I'm honest. I'm skinny. And so what happens is you get thin skin, and the likely little scratch or bump, it could discolor. So I put on urine, and it's never failed to heal in 4 days. So what I just showed you is day 3. That's day 3. So in another day, this is going to be totally the regular flesh color. So here's some more stories. They're great stories. I'm also going to talk about something that people don't necessarily equate with the benefits and the power of urine, human urine. it doesn't care what you think about it. It's going to work. It's going to do what it does. And despite our considerations of whether you should use a man's urine, gender specific, a man's, a woman's urine, adult, a child, a different race, or even a different species, because a lot of people know about the sacred cow in India, and they use the camel urine. In Saudi Arabia, they use camel urine. Incredible results. And I'm going to even go into stories about people who heal their dogs with their urine. So there's a lot of lovely testimonials that have been coming out for the last, I've been public about this for the last 8 years. So there was a young man of 10 years old. He was in Nigeria, and he was very, very sick. And his mom knew the old culture and knew the old traditions about using urine therapy. So she fed him his urine, and in a matter of time, I can't tell you the timeline, he recovered. He got well. And then 25 years later, he's a urine therapy teacher out of Nigeria and a brilliant herb master. So there was that story. I've had people who drink their urine despite the fact that they were diagnosed with gonorrhea or some kind of sexually transmitted diseases. And this one gentleman says, I trust you. 4 days later, after drinking his urine, it was gone. He got re-examined by the doctor. There are people who've had blood in their urine. They drank it anyway. One guy, I don't know where he lives, in Tennessee. He drank it anyway because he knew my work and he trusted me. And sure enough, it changed everything. It brought him back to life. There was a friend of mine out in Arkansas, and she did full baths with it. I mean, she was really into urine therapy. She collected like 30 gallons. I had a chance to visit her once. So she had gallons of urine stored all over her office and in the closet. Well, she would take urine baths, and she had a pit bull who had a hip problem. Poor thing was suffering. Well, she'd get out of the bath, go to the kitchen to get something, to come back, to discover that her pit bull is not only in the bath water with the urine, splashing around, drinking the urine. So she caught on that the dog knew what was going on, so she changed the dog's water bowl from water to urine, and this beautiful dog, this pit bull, drank all of that 3 or 4 times a day. She had to reuse it. Well, what happened after all this playful spirit, this stuff going on in the bathtub? The dog didn't have any hip pain. So we have all kinds of stories. My friend John out there in Colorado, he was a master gardener, and master gardeners are on their knees a lot. He didn't necessarily use knee pads. Well, his knees ends up getting blown out. His wife from Colorado, right? And remember his wife were going, we should go down to Mexico and get some stem cell injections. And that's like $10,000. Well, John, bless his heart, he was already a student of mine. I was sharing a house with him, and he was already doing urine therapy. He was so proud of himself, he got up to 4 ounces. I always kid the guy. I said, when you get up to a liter a day, you're hitting the big league. So I said, why don't you just soak a washcloth and put it over your knees? He did that 3 or 4 times a day. In 4 or 5 days, the pain was gone. I hear a story about people who have gout. They got rid of it using the same method. People who had foot fungus. So just a matter of getting onto these protocols as soon as possible, not waiting for your body to break down, not having to rely on the medical system. Urine has powers that we're just now understanding. I would say that urine has a consciousness. A lot of people are starting to get that. And it knows more about us than we do. So the more we can go within and use our water, change the way we relate to our body and our cells, you can have amazing health.
To conclude this episode, we have Gloria Charlene, whose powerful testimony reveals a journey of determination, faith, and a profound physical transformation. A mathematician with a deep commitment to personal health, Gloria has built her strength and vitality through disciplined training, fasting, and clean living. But it was at the Inspire Summit of 2023 that her path took an unexpected turn, leading to life-changing knowledge from researchers and healers who introduced her to the ancient practice of urotherapy. Within weeks, she shed toxins, her mind sharpened, and she experienced a level of energy and clarity she never had known before. Over the months that followed, long-standing health issues resolved, from persistent pain to a decade-old breast cyst, leaving her stronger, healthier, and more vibrant than ever. Gloria's story is a compelling testament to the body's God-given capacity to heal when given the right tools. Her transformation challenges conventional thinking and offers a beacon of hope for those seeking true restoration through natural, time-honored practices.
Hello, my name is Gloria Charlene. I took a big focus in my health. A big thing I used to say was I was healthier in my 30s than in my 20s. I was bench pressing 130 pounds. I learned about fasting and intermittent fasting. So I was really focused on getting healthier and stronger. I had more muscle than ever in my life. I stopped drinking alcohol because I just really wanted to focus on trying to be clean. And another thing about my background is that I'm also a mathematician. I went to school knowing that I'm not going to learn everything I need to know from a university, that I'm going to have to do my own research to figure some stuff out. I ended up being invited to the Inspire Summit in Orlando, Florida in January 2023. And so it was at this Inspire Summit that God blessed me, and he brought Jonathan Otto into my life. And Jonathan Otto, I'm so grateful to him. He shared with me Dr. Artis's research on venoms. And he shared with me the hope that how nicotine can help. And he shared with me Dr. Buttar and Dr. Edward Group's research on urotherapy. And, I was in the mindset of I needed to learn as much as possible. So maybe for 1 second, the thought of urotherapy maybe was a little weird, but I already knew that God was opening doors, and it was for me to walk through these doors. And that's how I saw Jonathan, is that God brought me here to hear this information. And so I really took that seriously. And Jonathan relates everything to scripture. Jonathan missed his flight, and then he came to teach us all of this knowledge. So I was taking it all in, and I was so excited. Richie was there filming, and the whole time, Richie and Jonathan are just discussing things too, and going back and forth, talking about everything that's going on, and then relating it to scripture. I remember just standing around them, just listening to it all and taking it all in. And I remember in that moment just being grateful to hear the knowledge, and so grateful to be there. Everything led to me being there in that moment. And so I didn't start urotherapy right away, though. I did go home and thought about it, and I researched more. And then Jonathan came out with Absolute Healing Series. In that interview is When I'm Still Sick. And then during Absolute Healing Series, and I learned more from Dr. Buttar and Dr. Group, Dr. Ely, Dr. Artis, Dr. Judy Mikovits, all these wonderful, brilliant doctors and scientists. I just was taking in all the information. I wanted to learn more and be able to take my healing into my own hands. And then I see Christopher Key on Absolute Healing Series drink his own urine. And Christopher Key is somebody that I saw at the Inspire Summit in Orlando, Florida. And when I saw him, I remember thinking, that is a doctor that I would love to learn from. You want to learn from those doctors that are doing their good deeds and show that. And I didn't get a chance to meet Christopher at the Inspire Summit. So then I'm watching Absolute Healing Series, and then there's Christopher drinking his urine, talking about urotherapy. And so I kind of took it like, okay, God, that's my sign. This is the one person here who I thought was a doctor because of his knowledge and everything, that I wanted to learn from. And here he's in front of me doing this. So I knew God was already pushing on me from Jonathan's knowledge and testimony with me, that when I saw Christopher, I absolutely knew at that time that was what I had to do. And then about another day goes by, and my side effects, I had a day where the pulling in the back of my head, pains from my fingertips to my neck, just pulling on me, feelings like I'm gonna have a heart attack or a stroke. And this was in February 2023. God just spoke to me, and God said that you only need me. And I went and I started urotherapy. And within 3 weeks, I lost 18 pounds of toxins from my gut and all over my body. At that time, I realized that when you have an empty gut, your mind feels crisp. Your body feels strong. I started to understand why they poison us at our gut, because I started to feel a way that I've never felt in my life. I've never felt with my mind so crisp and clear. I started to feel better than ever. And within 2 months of starting urotherapy, so by April 2023, 100% of my side effects were gone. And I'm just so grateful to continue to make docuseries with Jonathan and share this knowledge and testimony. At that time, we filmed Disease in Reverse. And that Disease in Reverse was the first docuseries where I'm 100% healed. Just so grateful to look back on it all, that have completely removed all that poison from my body. And so getting back to urotherapy, we all have a God-given, genetically coded stem cell in our urine. Our urine also has antibodies and minerals. What I truly believe and what I've learned is that, now I'm not a doctor, but I can only say from what has happened to my body and going through urotherapy, I can say that I've removed toxins from my body that I've had my entire life. And so I start realizing that I've been poisoned forever. I start realizing that I do have a biochemical accumulation in my body. You know, I did have things in my body that I didn't realize. I've had an cyst in my breast for, I would say, a decade. And at 7 months of urotherapy, I healed that cyst out of my breast. So I don't have a cyst anymore. So I realized that is absolutely true. Your stem cells will take your cells back to health, and they focus on a part of your body, and they'll move to another part, and they'll move to another part, heal that, completely heal that part of the body, move to the next part of the body that needs healing. And that's absolutely what I've been seeing. My knees don't pop anymore. My nails are like longer and healthier than they've ever been. They're so strong, they don't break. I don't think my nails have ever been this long. My skin is clear. My hair is nice. Every docuseries we make, I can just see my transformation coming together more and more and more. It's just so beautiful. So I continue. There's some days that I miss, but I'm pretty faithful to it. I'm so grateful to be feeling better than I've ever felt in my life. And so then I realized like what the doctors are saying about cancer is true. The bioaccumulation of toxins in our body is going to lead to inflammation, is going to lead to disease. And then they start calling these things cancer. So when we start detoxing our body of stuff, and that's why urotherapy, you could look at the research on urotherapyresearch.com. You can see from the doctors in Jonathan Otto's series, urotherapy will eliminate all poisons from the bodies.
There are few healing methods as misunderstood or overlooked as urine therapy. Long practiced in traditional medicine and supported by emerging research, it offers a unique blend of bioactive compounds, hormones, enzymes, antibodies, and regenerative factors created by your own body and perfectly matched to your own biology. In this episode, we've learned how urine therapy can help regulate immune function, calm inflammation, support tissue repair, and restore balance to the body. From immune modulation and antimicrobial action to potential roles in recovery from chronic diseases, this practice challenges everything we think we know about medicine. In a world where profit often drives the standard of care, urine therapy reminds us that some of the most powerful healing tools are already within us. We've heard remarkable stories of recovery, cases where people moved beyond symptom relief to address the root causes of illness. And we have explored the science behind why this naturally produced medicine is far from waste and how its healing potential has been quietly utilized across cultures for centuries, in fact, millennia, thousands of years. As we close, remember, your body already produces powerful tools for healing. By understanding and utilizing what it offers, you can tap into a deeply personal, readily available resource to support your health from the inside out. As we come to a close, I can hardly believe we've already reached the end of ReGenesis. I just want to thank you once again for being with me through this journey. It's been such an honor to share this life-changing information with you. And before we wrap up, I want to circle back to Bonnie's testimony. She thought daily pain and stiffness were just part of life. But once she embraced red light therapy, everything changed. She started waking up pain-free for the first time in years. And she's not alone. I think of Jennifer's husband, who regained his speech after a stroke thanks to consistent red light therapy. I've heard so many stories like these, people who had lost hope but found healing through natural protocols. That's exactly why we created the ReGenesis Gold package. It's more than just one device or one protocol. It's a complete system to help you reclaim your health. Inside, you'll find the Red Life Pro Belt. With its 5 powerful wavelengths, it's the most advanced red light therapy belt on the market. You'll also get the full 90-day detox and repair supplement protocol, carefully designed to clear toxins and rebuild health from the inside out. On top of that, you'll have expert-led masterclasses and 6 weeks of live coaching, so you can take action with confidence, not confusion. Think of it as your roadmap and your toolbox, everything you need in one place, so you can finally stop guessing and start healing. And here's the best part. For the next 48 hours, when you order or upgrade, you'll unlock a special bonus waiting for you on the sales page. I can't reveal it here, but it's one of my absolute favorite tools, and it won't be available for long. So don't wait. Click below to secure your Gold Premium package at 77% off and step into the same kind of transformation that's already changing lives every single day.